Purchase an eligible new 30 to 450 horsepower Yamaha outboard and get up to 7 years of coverage protection, plus up to $500 in dealer credit, or earn up to $700 in dealer credit on eligible 2.5 to 25 horsepower models. Fall into savings today.
Dave Anderson here with the Fisherman magazine. It's October 23rd. These are your headlines. We've seen a lot more big tog coming out of Long Island Sound and in Rhode Island, including some double digits. False albacore have been back after the nor'easter, but this new wind that we've got here may have something to say about that. And we've seen lots of trout stocking across southern New England. Stay tuned for all that and more on this week's New England Fishing Forecast.
The ultimate fishing authority in the Northeast, the Fisherman magazine.
Before we begin, we've got a few news items for you guys. First thing I want to talk about is those trout stockings. The most recent one was in Rhode Island. It took place over the last week from the 17th until today, the 23rd. They did 23 ponds throughout Rhode Island. It's too many for me to go through here vocally, but I'll put a list up here on the screen for you guys. And you know, the thing that I always love about a fall stocking is that it doesn't get all the fanfare and attention that the spring stocking gets. So you don't have that opening day atmosphere. You can kind of just fish in solitude, and you can, you know, because they're stock trout, you can catch them however you want. Really makes for a great time, especially in the fall, you know, later in the fall like it is now, when other species might not be as readily available. So take advantage of that. And also just bear in mind that Massachusetts and Connecticut have been stocking trout right along throughout the entire fall as well. So a lot of great options if you're a trout fisherman right now. Next thing, let's check in with our tournaments. Here's what's going on in the Coastal Kayak Clash and the Dreamboat Challenge.
It's October 23rd, and we have the latest from the Dreamboat Fishing Challenge. First on deck is Daniel Solomon, a Long Island subscriber from Nantucket, with a 7.69-pound blackfish weighed in at Miller Place Bait and Tackle that lands him in third place in the blackfish category. Our next blackfish on the board comes from Mark Warbolowski, another Long Island subscriber from Bayport, New York, weighed in his catch at J&J Sports, and it weighed 8.84 pounds, which places Mark in second. And our last blackfish entry comes from Johnny Lee Rouse, a New Jersey subscriber from Pine Hill, New Jersey, weighing in his 13.2 catch at Snug Harbor Marina, landing him in the #1 spot in the blackfish category. We end the week with the leaderboard looking like this. Thomas Luciano is in first place with 20 points. Second place is Rashawn Williams with 16 points. And taking third is Jeffrey Harrison with 13 points.
It was a slow and windy week in the Coastal Kayak Clash. We only had one fish hit the board, which was actually a fish that was caught a couple weeks ago, but the entry got lost in cyberspace. We finally were able to recover it. We have a 22-inch blackfish entered by David Dew, which is now good enough for third place in the blackfish category. Everything else remains the same. We've got Rotha Nong in first place with 6 points, Dustin Stevens in second place, also with 6 points, and Bob Wagner in third place with 5 total points. Now let's check in with Jenny Ackerman. Here's a preview of her latest installment of Open Boat.
Stay tuned for this week's latest open boat adventure with Jenny Ackerman. From tackling new lures, hooking into the catch of the day, or learning something new about a species. Tune in every Sunday at 6 p.m. for Jenny's latest open boat episode. Remember to like, comment, and subscribe, and most importantly, catch 'em up.
And the last thing, of course, is our 2 giveaways that are going on right now. We have the TOG giveaway, which wraps up on on November 12th. And we have the Grader giveaway, which wraps up on December 3rd. The TOG giveaway is TOG specific, so it's got to be a photo of you with your TOG. It doesn't have to be the biggest fish, it just has to be a great photo. And I'll tell you right now, you've got a good chance at winning this thing, because we're only seeing just a trickle of photos in for this thing. So if you're one of those people who says you never win anything, you've got a chance with this. So definitely get out there, do some togging, and take some good photos. Send them in to me at danderson@thefisherman.com. The other thing is the greater giveaway. That one wraps up on December 3rd. We're giving away a just sort of a conglomerate prize pack. We've got a mag pencil in there from Missouri. We've got a monster shot from Missouri. We've got a twitch bait from Tsunami. We got a whole bunch of stuff. And this one's going to wrap up on December 3rd. This one's encompasses all fishing, including togs. So you can sort of double enter your tog photos if you'd like to. And anything else, whether it's saltwater, freshwater, caught on vacation, caught close to home. The only rules are it's got to be recently caught and it's got to show the angler holding his or her fish. It can't be laying on the ground next to your tackle bag or something like that. Send them in to me at danderson@thefisherman.com or text them to the number on the screen. Those photos will be used in the report, in the magazine, and you might win something cool, so give it a shot. Moving over into the reports now, things are definitely winding down in a hurry up in Maine. There are still some striped bass around. I would definitely concentrate on the rivers. Most of these fish are on the smaller side, and it does seem like most of the anglers at this point have either switched their focus to freshwater or gone out in the woods to look for deer. So, while it's not over necessarily up in Maine, we're bidding farewell to striper season up in Maine right now. Crossing the border down into Massachusetts, we're a week behind, maybe a week and a half behind Maine over here. It seems like there's still a lot of striped bass along the Plum Island shorelines. Most of these fish are, say, 20 to 26 inches, so under the slot size. There's some slot size fish. There's a few fish up to like 36 inches in the mix, but things are slowing down. However, the action's still kind of holding up, well enough for guys to get out there and make the most of it. So if you're a North Shore fisherman, you still got time. You just got to get out there and make it happen. Down in Boston Harbor, it gets a little bit better. We've seen some bluefish still in the area, and those kind of extend down along the Plymouth shoreline as well. We'll hear more about what's going on in Boston Harbor from Danny, but overall, things are still firing pretty good in that area. And one thing I forgot to mention too, Boston Harbor and points north and south for that matter. So basically Green Harbor to Gloucester. We do have some head boats that are still heading out when we get the weather, which has been a little bit tougher to come by more recently. But there's a codfish season that wraps up at the end of the month. And that's been producing some good sized fish. We've seen fish up to 20 pounds coming off of some of these pieces. They're getting some cusk out there, they're getting some haddock, they're getting some redfish. And it's a great late fall fishery that not everybody takes advantage of. If you want to get in on it, I would recommend going out with Beauport Fishing Adventures out of Gloucester. Captain Luke Gord's been doing it for a long, long time, and he's definitely going to put you on some fish. Going back down now to the South Shore area, striped bass action across that region still going along pretty good. Not as many big fish out of there now. We're seeing fish in the like 20 to 35 inch range for the most part. There's still some blitzes taking place on some of the beaches, and the ledges are putting out some decent fish as well. Maybe the like unsung hero of this time of the year is tog fishing on the north side of the Cape. Not a lot of people do it. But the ledges, some of the deeper jetties, they're putting out fish right now, and the guys that are doing it are enjoying a great fishery. So definitely want to try to take advantage of that if you can. Bay side of the Cape, there's been some striped bass sort of in the Sandwich out to Barnstable area. Seems like these fish might be on sand eels. It's been sort of a moving, sort of a transient bite. I haven't heard of anything really big coming out of there, but some fish getting close to 20 pounds. Same thing up inside Barnstable Harbor. We've seen a similar class of fish, figure like 20 to almost 40 inches. A lot of guys are doing well with swimming plugs, like the LC minnow from Missouri or a redfin or something like that. Outer Cape, haven't heard a lot. Just doesn't seem like a lot of people are fishing right now. A few boats have been out doing a little bit of vertical jigging, and they're finding a few striped bass here and there, but not a lot of reports coming off the Outer Cape right now. Things get a little bit more interesting as we cross into Nantucket Sound. We've still got some albies in Nantucket Sound, and some of those albies are still quite large. The biggest fish I heard of this week was over 17 pounds. That is a monster fish. However, the guys that are doing this and getting in on this albie bite are moving around a lot because there's not a lot of fish around. The good news is when these guys do find them, the bite seems to be very good. The feeds are quite large. So if you don't mind burning some gas, you might find some fish in Nantucket Sound. We'll see what this windy situation does. It's going to bring the water temp down a little bit. It's going to dirty things up. It's going to move those fish around, and it has the potential to push them off. So you're going to want to, take a little spoonful of salt with that report, but it could pay off. The other thing that's going on, we've seen some striped bass up in the backwaters. Most of these fish are up to 35 inches. They're feeding on various bait fish. There's some peanut bunker back there and some other baits. Seems like nighttime has been a better time. A lot of surf guys getting in, some kayak guys getting in on it as well. Some fish at the mouths of these estuaries also. So striped bass fishing is looking decent out there. You got some bonito around. And don't forget, this is another area where we don't always talk about the tog fishing, but anywhere you find some rocky structure out there, you have an opportunity to get some nice tog. Cool thing happened at the Vineyard Derby. Coming into the last few days of the Derby, we saw some really big bluefish crashing out on Chappie. Some of these fish were up into the high teens, so that's really cool. I'm sure those, some of those fish are still around. And now that the Derby's over, you're going to start to see more guys out striper fishing. You're going to see a lot more guys out togging. The north side of the Vineyard has some great togging. Obviously, the Elizabeth Islands have some great togging. So if you've had Derby fever and you're just looking for anything but the big three, I would go out togging, because I think right now is just about the sweet spot. So give that a shot. Moving up into Buzzards Bay, we've seen some striped bass coming out of the canal and causing some some blitz activity, guys chasing those around in kayaks and boats and from shore. Seen some fish moving up into places like the Wareham River. You're going to want to keep an eye on that. Canal has been holding its own, and we'll hear more about that from Eddie in a few minutes. But I've still been hearing about some decent fish at both ends of the canal, east and west end. Fish up to 20 pounds this week for the most part. And again, you'll hear a little bit more about that from Eddie in a minute. Out in the western part of Buzzards Bay, we've got really good togging when the weather allows. I know Jason Colby has had to cancel a lot of his trips, but when he's getting out there, they're finding lots and lots of keeper fish. Some of those fish eclipsing double digits. And now let's check in with our field correspondents.
Thanks, Dave. Dan checking in with this week's report. Kind of slow inshore in Boston. Offshore, we've been doing pretty well. We were out there last weekend and we got some decent ground fish, a couple of decent sized cod, steady pick, Inshore, not so much. There's bait in the area, right? There are stripers in the area. You just got to put a lot of time into to get them. Right now we're kind of switch gears. We're doing more of ground fishing type of trips. So maybe that's the way it is, throughout the end of the year. Really, I'm waiting for December 1st to open up so I can go out there and land a giant. Till then, tuck and roll. That's what I got for you. Stay safe. Catch you on the next one.
Hi Dave, it's a windy day here in the canal, so we got east flood tide behind me, and the migration continues. Still a lot of bait in the canal. Glenn Lucky Cigar Lindsay caught a slot for the table, and then a few days later caught another one. And Mark, the Preacher McNeil, had a great day. He was into a school of slots, and then the fish got bigger, and he caught a 45-inch as the school continued. And he was throwing a Striper Gear Remax Shaddy Daddy, and then he got into more slots. So that 45 inch is a nice fish. Congratulations to the Preacher. And if anybody hasn't heard yet, Bo McKinnon caught a nice fish, caught a lot of nice fish, the day of the storm, which just missed my last video deadline. And he caught a 50-pound, 15-ounce striped bass that measured out to 53.5 inches, and 25 other fish that same day, the day of the storm. And the smallest fish he caught that day was 40 inches. So what an incredible day. He was throwing a Wally's white pencil that he loves, and then a few days later he caught a couple more bass and a couple of hardtails with a Bill Hurley white 4-ounce white paddle tail. So Bull continues to dominate. And Bill in the Grow Produce had a good day. He caught a 37-inch out of a topwater bite with a Super Strike parrot-colored bullet. And then he switched to a silver-colored fish lab. He was bouncing off the bottom, and he hooked a 39-inch. So good for him. That was a great fish also. And so U.S. Air Force combat veteran Harold Skelton, who founded Fishing for the Mission 22, with 22 being the number, unfortunately, of the service people that take their life every day in our country. He puts on events to raise money for them, and he, out of the comedy events and the clam bakes he put on, he raised $48,000 recently. Good for him, Harold. That's great. Great cause. And just if you would keep in your thoughts and prayers, Tim Hollywood Petrarca, a great canal rat and a terrific guy who is undergoing radiation treatments for prostate cancer. And if anybody wants to talk to Tim, he's done extensive research on this. So if anybody has the same ailment and they want to talk to Tim for advice or any other reason, just let me know and I'll put you in touch with him. My email is eastendeddy789@yahoo.com. That's EASTENDEDDIE789@yahoo.com. Just keep Hollywood in your thoughts and prayers, please. And my tip of the week is you should always have a little first aid kit for your bike. So until next time, catch a big one.
For more than 20 years, anglers everywhere have come to know one thing, that nothing says no to fish bites.
Crossing over into Rhode Island, I think the big thing that everyone's going to be interested to hear, or the most interested to hear, is that we still have albies in Rhode Island waters. It does seem like some of those fish pushed up into the bay, started to drop back out midweek. Very, very finicky bite is what I've been hearing. Guys are getting them, but they're really putting in a lot of time to actually, pull the string with these things. The fish, they don't seem to be on particularly small bait, they just seem to be finicky. The area that was really putting out well was like the Jamestown area. So either on the Narragansett side or the Newport side, either side seemed to have some fish at one time or another. Some striped bass mixing in at times, most of the stripers maybe up to like 35 inches. Nothing really big in that area at the moment. The other place that had some albie action was South County. That seemed to be much more widespread, or spread out, I should say, not widespread. So, guys are finding them at the breachways. Guys are burning some gas trying to find them, but they are out there, and the bite over there seemed to be slightly better as well. On the striped bass end of the spectrum, as I was sort of alluding to already in the Newport area, we've seen some pushes of fish coming through. A lot of these fish are on the smaller side with a few fish touching the 20-pound mark, up to 40, 41 inches, something like that. The breachway area has been sort of holding striped bass more consistently. There's a lot of bait coming out of the breachways right now. We've still got mullet coming out. We've got some big peanut bunker coming out. The daytime bite has been very good, and guys are doing well at night also. So if you don't mind taking a little drive down to South County, you can do a lot of beach hopping in that area. A lot of beach access along that whole stretch, which makes it great for fall run fishing. So that's an area that I would definitely concentrate on if you're looking to grab a striped bass, either from the surf or from the boat. Doesn't really matter. There's also fish up inside the ponds right now, so that's been very good. And then we've got togging. Togging's been really, really great. It's really starting to sort of find its second stage right now. These fish have moved out a little bit deeper, so fishing, say, 20 to 45 feet of water for the most part. Some guys out as far as 60. But the bite's been very good, and there's really not any one specific area that I can highlight as a super hot zone. However, Newport and Jamestown always put out good numbers of fish, and would definitely be a great place to concentrate on if you're kind of up in the air about where you want to go. Another thing that you're going to find, especially as you get to the deeper end of the togging spectrum there, is the sea bass bite has been coming back to life, and it's looking very good. We've seen lots of keeper-sized fish, a lot of shorts also, so you're going to be weeding through a few of those. And there's still some scup around also. And these late-running scup tend to be pretty big. We've seen some fish pushing up into the 2-pound range. So things are looking very good pretty much across the entire state. The only other thing I definitely want to mention again is just that Rhode Island just stocked 23 ponds with trout. So whether you're a largemouth guy and you want to go take advantage of some largemouth that are fired up to eat some trout, or you want to go take a day and just chill on the side of the pond and catch some trout, I would head over to the Rhode Island DEM website and get the details on the pond that was stocked that's closest to you. And now let's check in with our Rhode Island field correspondents.
Thanks, Dave. Hey, guys, lots to get to for the East Bay this week, and we're going to get right into it. Starting the Warren Barrington Rivers, the tautog bite there has been actually pretty good, mainly on the high tide, incoming tide, just where you get a little bit more water in there, you get a little more fish. If you're fishing from the actual bridges, the Warren or Barrington Bridge, the drive-over bridges, you fish on the pylons there, you're going to catch fish. There's been some 19, 20, even 22-inch fish I've heard of from my buddy Frank, who's been fishing it. Also inside those rivers, you're going to find some nice striped bass. There's been bass up to 34 inches in the Barrington River. And I got to tell you, there's tons of mullet in there. Blue mullet from Berkeley Paddle Shad has been really working really good in there. And I got several reports, a lot of guys, and thanks to everybody who's been checking in with me this week on that. Moving out into the Narragansett Bay proper, my friend Jared checked in with me. He said Ohio Ledge has been on fire with the top water bite. There's been a lot of bass, not big, but lots of bass biting on top water plugs. Moving up into Papa Squash, a little bit of prudence off of Hog Island there. I found a school of mackerel this week. Did pretty well. Fun to catch, not big, but always make for either good bait or, as my neighbor calls it, good table fare for her. And my friend Jeff Arujo, he checked in with me from Bloodline Kayak Adventures, and he just wanted to let me know that Maho Bay has been great. The Kickamuit River up through the Narrows and Swansea Colds River, which I've been fishing myself, has been really well with striped bass in the last couple of days. There's been a lot of bait there, a lot of pogies. There is some mullet around coming out of the Lees River. And I know that just because I connected on a couple of nice fish out of the Lees River this weekend. Tog bite has been just as good. Bristol Narrows, if you can get over there, just be careful if you drive out there because the tide come up, it'll wash your vehicle away. Park high, walk down. Incoming tide's good. Just get inside of that little channel there. You can see the red can. Right above that red can, some good tog in there. There's some stripers moving through there. There's a lot of bait. Moving around Spar Island, Coles River, Lees River. Like I said, it has all been good with striped bass. There's a lot of bass inside of the bay right now, Mount Hope Bay. And moving up into the Taunton River, right through Mount Hope Bridge around the Battleship, you can find some bass around there too. There's been some bait congregated pretty much along the bridge pylons of the Braga Bridge. So if you get on the ebb side of that and you cast into those eddies, you can just drop a bare bucktail and just jig it up and you're going to catch fish. There's been bass up to 40 inches inside of Maho Bay, and I got that report from Jeff Arujo, and he's been a very reliable source for me out there. He's been fishing quite a bit. Moving up towards the Sakonnet, there's been some good scup still and some tautog on Common Fence Point. And some good sea bass actually mixed in. If you can get in that 36 to the 45 foot water range, there's some good sea bass in there. Haven't heard of any squetig at all anymore, but there might be some in the mix still with all the bait that we have. So a lot of things happening here in the East Bay. You got to get out there, you got to fish, and tight lines, guys. We'll catch you next week.
What's up, guys? What's up, Dave? So we'll start on the saltwater side of things. It's been a toggy week. It's been a tog world out there. Between the jig bite, the rig bite, the depths they're biting at right now. I get a lot of this asking at the shop. The guys are asking me what tog depths are you getting them at? Where are they? If you find a rock, you'll find a tog. I say this all the time, and not to sound cliche, but it's true. Especially like early spring and early to mid fall. They don't really go anywhere too crazy. They're right under your nose most of the time. So unless it gets really, really super cold for an extended period of time, those tog are right there. So they're doing what they did in the spring. You can get them shallow right now. Guys are getting them, 10, 15 feet. We're getting them in 20 to 55 feet. That's a wide range of depth right there. So on the jig, on the rig, Asian crabs, green crabs, and white crabs. So, if you can get your hands on white crabs, that's a bonus. But, the jig bite's been very good. The rig bite's been very good. You just kind of have to bring both. Make sure you're prepared for both, because sometimes the tog want the rig over the jig. And sometimes it's a 30-minute window where they just want the rig and won't touch the jig, or vice versa. So It's just one of those things where you just got to feel out. Tog are very tricky. They're very fun to catch. And that's all I have to say about that. But as far as crabs go at Lucky Bait and Tackle, yes, we do have crabs. And if you need a bushel, you got to call Tuesday or a little before Tuesday to get it on Friday of that week. So we're really trying to get everybody their orders and their green crabs and their bushels. It makes it easier for us if you call on that Tuesday or prior for that Friday, so you guys can get your bushels. But other than that, Dave, that's been pretty much it for the saltwater side of things for me. I've just been togging, and it's been a blast. As far as the freshwater side of things go, the largemouth bite's been through the roof bonkers. It's been awesome. Between the wake bait bite, the buzz bait bite, the spinner bait bite, and the chatterbait bite right now, it's been very, very good. We're getting nice fish, quality size fish. They're nice and cold, so they know it's time to feed for the fall. Last week, they were kind of still in summer mode. It was kind of weird, but all of a sudden, we had that wind and that cooler night kick in, and they were like, oh, man, it's fall time. Time to eat. And they came to me real quick. I kind of wasn't expecting them to go crazy, but they're around now. So you guys are out there in your ponds and stuff. Be on the lookout for bass to go nuts, because they are starting to feed on bluegill like crazy and yellow perch. I actually caught one the other day that had a yellow perch inside of its mouth, and I let him have it. I usually take it out to help him out, but he seemed like he wanted it. So, but the white perch bite's been good. On spinners and spoons in the estuaries and ponds that have them. The crappie bite's been good, and they're stocking trout in Rhode Island waters this week and probably next week too. So be on the lookout for that. Rainbows and brookies. But other than that, Dave, I'm going to tie some tog rigs and get back out there tomorrow, and I'll catch you guys later.
Hey, John Lee, Point Youth, Rhode Island. This week, like the past few weeks, we've had some weather, some wind. This week it's been hard southwesterlies. We had a groundswell too from that sou'easter, that real short blow we had out of the southeast that put a groundswell up. That kind of hurt the fishing a little bit. I haven't been out in a couple of days. It's hard for me to get out from Point Judith when it blows hard. We're just pretty exposed. Yeah, we can wrap around the corner and fish down off Gansett, but I just kind of chose not to. The blackfish trips that I have done prior to this weather were solid trips. Kind of your classic scenario. You anchor up, start sending crabs down, get some shorts, get a keeper, get some more shorts, get a couple of keepers, go through a lull, get some shorts, get some keepers. You just got to, if you like your spot, you just got to stay. Blackfishing is one of the classics in that it really gets into your head. Do you stay or do you move? And last weekend, beautiful weather, tons of boats out. I got out there early. I got on a good piece of bottom, and I just stuck it out. I could see the spot lock guys around me. They would fish half an hour, then they'd move. Then they kind of dance around. So I guess if you are still anchoring like I am, one of the beauties of anchoring is once you're anchored, you got to give it some time. You got to give it an hour. If I fish a little bit, kind of boom, 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 I want to move. Inside my soul, I want to move. But the anchor allows me to stay. If I had spot lock, I might dance around a lot too. But I think with blackfishing, you're better off sticking it out an hour, unless you obviously have nothing. But if you're getting life, just stay there up to a point. So the best black fishermen know we're sticking it out or we're moving. Other than the blackfish, I had a disappointing trip to the island for stripers, blues, and bonitas. Kind of struck out on all of those. There was just no life. I think it's kind of day to day out there. This weather has allowed it. I can't get to Block Island. I'm hoping when this blows out, I'm going to slip over there. I did do one trip down the east side of the island, anchored up for sea bass and blackfish, and had some casting rods ready. I did see some busting bluefin tunas, just maybe 2 miles out from the island. Big bus on the surface, lots of seabirds tight to a clump. It was fun. Anyway, I'll get up with you next time. Get out there. definitely get out there. The clock's ticking. Have a good one.
Crossing over into Connecticut, big news in Connecticut this week has just been togging really taking a big step in the right direction. We had a lot of guys talking about shorts for the last couple of weeks, and things were gradually getting better. Well, they got a lot better over the weekend. It may have had something to do with the fact that there were multiple tog tournaments taking place in the Sound, but we saw some really big fish hit the scales this week. The biggest one I saw, I think, was 12.1 pounds, if my memory serves. And just very good fishing overall. These fish are, the guys are getting some fish on jigs, so they're getting fish up shallow still. But it seems like the sweet spot for the bigger fish is similar to Rhode Island, 20 to 40 feet of water, maybe even pushing a little bit deeper. And that has been pretty much Sound wide. So you don't have to hit the Eastern Sound or go way out west. The tog are chewing right now. And it's a good time to be alive if you're a tog fisherman in Long Island Sound. Striped bass fishing's been better, I would say, this week on the eastern half of the state. There seems to be some bigger fish that have been sort of relating to the Thames and the Connecticut River, especially after dark. There's been some good fish in the area, and I don't mean right at the mouth of the rivers only, on the adjacent beaches also producing fish. Also got some reports from fishers this week, smaller fish overall, but good action. Those fish were taking albie snacks, they were taking small spooks, they were taking epoxy jigs. And guys are getting some fish on diamond jigs as well, along with some sea bass out in some of those deeper spots when the tide slowed down a little bit. Have not heard of any weak fish anywhere in Long Island Sound this week. I don't know if that means it's over or if that's just a lull in the bite, but that seems to be slowing down a little bit. Blue fishing, there's been some bigger bluefish still out in the race. Seems like most of those really big ones have moved on, so we're working on more like, say 7 to 11 pound fish, maybe a couple touching the low teens. But those fish are still around. Still seeing a few of those bigger bluefish in the Connecticut River area and out toward the reefs. But I haven't seen any giants this week. No 20-pound fish this week. So that's a little bit of a change. Heading further west out there, we do have some scup around still, or porgies as you guys call them in Connecticut. Those fish are quickly exiting, so if you want to get a few more for the freezer or just have one more porgy fry, you're going to want to get out there ASAP. And for the Western Sound report, we'll rely on Max, so let's check in now with our Connecticut field correspondents.
Hey everybody, for this week's special report, we're getting towards the end of October, and that means we're getting a lot of wind. It's really windy today. Tomorrow's gonna be windy, but then we're gonna have some calmer weather ahead of us, and I'm sure the fish is gonna be great. Stripers, when you find them, they've been really good. They are on the move, so expect them to be moving fast, and they're probably not gonna be in the same area where you saw them yesterday. There's still some albies and bonita around, and the black fishing has been good depending on who you talk to. Now, there's been a lot of pressure the past couple weekends on them. So some of the areas are fished out, so that means you gotta find some new structure and new areas. There's still a lot of sea bass around. Hopefully as they start to thin out, the blackfish is gonna improve, because right now those small sea bass are gonna be stealing a lot of your crabs. That's all I have for you for this week. Expect the fishing to be good through the end of the month.
In the famed waters of Panama awaits a fishing experience like no other. Tropic Star Lodge welcomes anglers to get in on world-famous fishing action. Plan your perfect trip today. Tropic Star Lodge, the ultimate in fishing adventures for more than 60 years.
What's up, everyone? Matt here from Black Cloud Outfitters in Westbrook with this week's fishing report. Blackfish season is off to a great start. We are hearing definitely the majority of guys doing well seem to be going a little further east and also shallow. By shallow, most of our guys, and again, I've only been out once briefly, so I'm kind of taking it from, a conglomerate of what people tell me. I would say probably like 25 feet and shallow down to like 10, 12. The time I got out, I was fishing 12 to 14 and did well once I built a bite. A lot of nuisance fish around still. The water is dropping. It's in like mid to low 60s right now, which is good. Some of those nuisance fish are going to go away, but you know, it was porgy palooza down there for me when I was fishing. Good way to get rid of that, especially earlier in the season, is to switch over to whole green crabs once you kind of know you're in a spot that's holding fish. That'll deter some of those smaller nuisance fish from pecking away at your half crab and really making you run through that bait really fast. So it also tends to entice those bigger fish to really kind of give you one hard whack and pick up your jig, which is always really fun. You can definitely get them out deep too, not saying they're not deep, but you know, for most of my customers and myself, I include in this, I love to fish shallow for blackfish. It's easier to rebait in shallow water. There's less current, just less factors at play to get your bait down into the spot that you need it to be. So that's going really well so far. The striper bite has been insane. The number of guys flying in here to grab topwater plugs has been awesome. I really love to hear that there's a really healthy population of kind of like slot and slightly over slot bass out there right now getting ready to eat and move out. That's what we really like to see. And we've heard blitzes from you know, Madison through all the way east to like Groton area. Guys are coming in and saying like, you know, there's fish everywhere. It's some of the craziest blitzes I've ever seen, which is really cool. Love to see that. So hopefully those fish are going to feed up well, have a nice safe trip down south for the winter, and then grow a little bit, and we'll catch them again in the spring. But for now, there's still tons of opportunity to get really good stripers out there. So that's kind of our fishery right now. You know, fewer species towards the end of the year here in October, but you know, still a ton of fun. We've got 5 weeks of blackfish season left. Feels like it just started, but get out there and enjoy it while you can, and bend that rod a few more times before the winter cold sets in. Good luck.
Hey everyone, Max here from Fisherman's World with your weekly fishing report. This past week, the black fishing was really great for guys that got out. I know the wind's been tough this week, but locally in our area, there's a lot of islands, a lot of estuaries, a lot of rock piles that you could fish shallow and tucked away from the wind. There's a really great bite shallow going on locally. We've seen a lot of fish. We weighed in a lot of fish, a lot of tournaments this past week from like 4 to 8 pounds. So a lot of quality blackfish around. It seems like green crabs and guys going to flip their own, get their Asians, but on the jig is the way to go right now. Sub 30 feet. I've seen some bigger fish even come out at 10 foot or less. They could say they could see the blackfish, pick up their jig and walk away. Other than that, the striped bass bite really remains consistent. You know, in the morning, we got some sporadic blitzing going on during the daytime hours. You know, you really got to cover some water. Estuaries, back bays, mouth of harbors are going to be where you want to concentrate. You know, on our deep water reefs, there hasn't been that great of a bass bite yet. Mostly a lot of bluefish in like 5 to 8 pound range with some stripers mixed in. This should just get better moving into the end of October towards Halloween, and then into November is prime time in our area. Locally, the best bass bite for bigger fish seem to be coming out of middle ground and in the mouth of the Housatonic. Either guys drifting eels or big soft plastics like gravity tackle. Porgies still remain really strong from the beaches. This time of year we see some of our biggest porgies taken. You know, we call them hubcaps. Guys get them Sherwood Island, you know, Campo Beach, Norwalk Pier. And anglers on the boat are also doing well also. The sea bass now are starting to really show up in good numbers of quality fish. This is the time of year we see them start mixing in with the blackfish. You know, they'll get shallower and shallower, but guys fishing wrecks for blackfish are reporting a really good knothead sea bass bite with limits. We're stocked up on green crabs, so get out there and fish before the season's over. Thanks and good luck.
Introducing the Yak Attack Sandrig Surf Cart, the ultimate beach hauler for serious anglers. Glide effortlessly over soft sand with wide balloon wheels and lightweight, corrosion-resistant construction that's completely customizable with options. Whether it's rods, coolers, or tackle, haul it all with ease. Built by surf fishermen and engineered by Yak Attack.
And that's what I have for you guys in the reports this week. Hope it's going to inspire you to get out there. I mean, we've got, you know, it's typical October, right? We keep seeing this parade of storms, and then, you know, we have to sort of recover with the fish. So, I mean, the move right now is just to get out there, especially during the daytime, and just try to make some visual confirmations of where bait and fish are. That's going to inform your decisions about what you're going to do this weekend or what you're going to do tonight or whenever you head back out there. But, you know, that's fall fishing. It takes a little bit of extra legwork, but, you know, I think that's the fun part. If you're not a subscriber to the Fisherman magazine, I highly recommend you head over to our website. That's thefisherman.com. You get a full taste of what we offer. We cover all the fishing from Delaware to Maine. We cover every angling discipline, whether you're a surf guy, whether you're an offshore guy, or anything in between. It's $31.95 for your subscription. That gets you 1 year access to the website, gives you all the back issues, all the current issues. You're going to get digital issues sent to your email. You're also going to get 12 paper magazines sent to your mailbox at your house. All that for $31.95, plus access to our 2 other editions. So it's 3 magazines for the price of 1. It's the best $30 you're ever going to spend. But if you're still not interested after you check the website, at the very least, give us a like and subscribe here on YouTube and hit that little bell thing right there so you get a notification every time we post something new. I appreciate you guys for watching.